Hi, and welcome back to Thone's Nibbles, number 143, covering part of 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Old Testament examples of misbehavior. This is kind of the opposite of what we often preach and teach here, but you'll see the importance of it. This comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 6 to 11. Now these things became our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they are also lusted. And do not become idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Nor let us commit sexual immorality, as some of them did. And in one day 23,000 fell. Nor let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed by serpents. Nor complain, as some of them also complained, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now all these things happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the age have come. Okay, so we're talking about admonitions for today, and these were admonitions of bad things that happened to people who were serious sinners in the Old Testament. Now we're told these things happened to them, and they can happen to you too. And so it's an admonition thing. Why is it in the Bible? These are examples for our consideration. Do we really want this to happen to us? Written to those tempted by worldly ideas and lusts. And that's really, so much of misbehavior. Sometimes misbehavior is well organized. I mean, that's some group of people come and wipe out a whole other group of people or something. However, most of today's, or a good deal of today's misbehavior is not well organized. It's just acting on the moment of something that you want, something that you lust for, or fight for a ideal which is not God's but some earthly institution's ideal. And that could be a political party, it could be a extreme religious group, it could be an economic philosophy or something. We just we're tempted by those kinds of things. Someone who speaks eloquently and appears to be well equipped to lead, and you just follow them without really thinking what it is that they're talking about. And that's a dangerous thing to do, as so many people have learned. The communications. A group of misdeeds are documented for our teaching. But basically, just a list of times when God came down heavily upon some group of sinners. Application to my life. We learn here that God takes these obvious misbehaviors very seriously, and especially among His people, who should endeavor to obey His word in all circumstances. So what did God tell me about all this? For all this, diligently learn that which is clearly wrong. If we can keep away from what's clearly wrong, then that's 2/3 of the way to being generally right. There can always be arguments about exactly where the borderline between right and wrong is. But, the thing is that we should never partake of things which are way over to the wrong side of the line. And we all know what that means. my personal response to this is, Lord, allow me the wisdom to recognize things obviously against your will, and allow me to eschew them. And that, I think this is a very useful prayer for those people who may not be quite mature in their beliefs, not quite a long time in the Word, and so on. At least follow God's direction to avoid those things which are clearly and obviously wrong. And it doesn't matter if everybody does them. The classic one here is breaking the speed limit in an automobile. God told us to obey the laws of man unless those disagreed with his laws. And I don't think he wrote any laws on how fast a car should drive and how fast it should go when you're driving it. So you have to have the will to know, what the speed limit is. It's posted on signs all along the road, right? I mean, you might miss a sign and be slightly wrong for a brief period of time until another sign comes up. But the fact is that you are not predetermined in your own mind that you're going to obey the law as best you can, and therefore it's quite tempting to go 4 or 5. There's people who say, well, so long as you're 6 miles or less above the speed limit, then they're never going to pull you over and stop you. People say that. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter, because when you claim to be one of Jesus' followers and you're a saved person, then, and you know that God tells you to obey the secular authority in those instances when it doesn't conflict with God's authority, then you shouldn't be doing it. So don't do it. Help me, first of all, recognize those things which are obviously against the will, and then avoid them. That's all there is to it. Okay? So we'll talk to you next time.